Book 5. The Book of Achilles. Meanwhile, grey from the Trojan gates, Talthybius journeyed, spurred by the secret thought of the fates who change not nor falter. Simois sighed around his wheels, and Xanthus roared at his passing. Troas' god, like a lion, wroth and afraid. To meet him, whistling the ocean breezes came, and Ida regarded. So with his haste in his wheels, the herald oceanward driving came through the gold of the morn, or the trampled green of the pastures back to the ships, and the roar of the sea, and the iron-hooped leaguer. Wide to the left his circle he wrote, where the tents of Achilles trooped like a flock of the sea-fowl, pensive and still on the margin. He, past the outposts, rapidly coursed to the fosse of the Argives. In with a quavering cry to the encampment over the causeway, bridging the moat of the ships, Talthybius drove in his chariot, out of the wide plains azure-roofed and the silence of nature, passing into the murmur of men and the thick of the leaguer. There, to a thrall of the Hellene he cast his reins, and with labour down from the high seat climbed of the war-car, framed for the mighty. Then, betwixt tent doors endless, vistaed streets of the canvas, slowly the old man toiled with his eager heart, and to meet him, sauntering forth from his tent at the sound of the driving car wheels, strong Automedon came, who was charioteer of Achilles. Great Talthybius, whence art thou coming? From Troia the ancient, or from a distant tent was thy speed, and the king Agamemnon? What in their armoured assembly counsel the kings of the Argives? Not from the host, but from Troy, Automedon, come I with tidings. Nor have I mixed with the Greeks in their cohorts, ranked by the ocean. Nor have I stood in their tents, who are kings in sceptred Achaea. But from Achilles sent, to Achilles I bring back the message. Tell me then, what does Pelides? Whether his strength he reposes, soothed by the lyre, or hearing the chanted deeds of the mighty? Or does he walk, as he loves, by the shore of the far-sounding waters? And to the Argive herald, grey Automedon answered. Now from the meal he rests, and Briseis lyres to him singing, one of the Ilion chants of old, in the tongue of the Trojans. Early then he has eaten, Automedon, early reposes. Early the meat was broached on the spits, Talthybius, early high on the sands, or under the tents we have eaten and rested. None knows the hour of the hunt, red, fierce, nor the prey he shall leap on. All are like straining hounds, for Achilles shares not his counsels. But on the ships, in the tents, the talk has run like Peneus. These upon Troy to be loosed, and the hard-fighting wolf brood of Priam, these hope starkly with Argos embraced, to have done with the Spartan, ending his brilliance in blood, or to sport on the sands of the Margent, playing at bowls with the heads of the Cretan and crafty Odysseus. Welcome were either or both. We shall move in the dances of Ares, quicken heartbeats dulled and limbs that are numb with reposing. War we desire, and no longer this ease by the drone of the waters. So as they spoke, they beheld far off the tent of Achilles, splendid and spacious, even as the hall of a high-crested chieftain. Lofty, held by 100 stakes, to the Phrygian meadow, Hung were its sides with memories, bronze and trophies of armour, sword and spear and helmet and cuirass of fallen heroes, slain by the hand of the mighty Achilles, warring with Troia. Teemed in its canvas rooms the plundered riches of Troas. Craftsman's work, and the wood well carved, and the ivory painted, work of bronze and work of gold, and the dreams of the artist. And in those tents of his bride, in the dreadful guard of the Hellene, noble boys and daughters of high-born Phrygians, captive, born from the joyless ruins that now were the sites of their childhood, served in the land of their sires, the will of the Phthian Achilles. There, on a couch, reclined in his beauty, mighty and golden, loved by the fates and doomed by them, spear of their will against Troia, Peleus' hero's son, by the foam-white child of the waters, dreaming reposed, and his death-giving hand hung lax o'er the couch-side. Near him, dark-eyed Briseis, the fatal and beautiful captive, sang to the Grecian victor chants of the land of her fathers. Sang the chant of Ilus, the tale of the glories of Troia. Trojan boys and maidens sat near the singer, and listened heart-delighted, if with some tears. For easy are mortal hearts to be bent by fate, and soon we consent to our fortunes. But in the doorway Automedon stood with the shadowy Argive, and at the ominous coming the voice of the singer faltered, faltering, hushed, like a thought melodious, ceasing in heaven. But from his couch the Peleid sprang, and he cried to the herald, "Long hast thou lingered in Ilion, envoy, mute in the chambers golden of Priam old, while around thee darkened the councils, wavering blindly and fiercely of minds that revolt from compulsion, natures at war with the gods and their fortunes. Fain would I fathom what were the thoughts of dear Phobos, locked in that nature of iron, now that he stands confronting his fate in the town of his fathers. Peace dwells not in thy aspect. Sow'st thou a seed then of ruin, cast from the inflexible heart and the faltering tongue of Aeneas, or with the golden laugh of the tameless bright Alexander?" Great Talthybius answered, "Surely their doom has embraced them, wrapping her locks round their ears and their eyes, lest they see and escape her, kissing their tongue with her fatal lips and dictating its answers. Dire is the hope of their chiefs, and fierce is the will of their commons. Son of the Aeacids, spurned is thy offer, the pride of thy challenge rather we choose. It is nearer to Dardanus, king of the Hellenes. Neither shall Helen captive be dragged to the feet of her husband, nor down the paths of peace revisit her father's Eurotas. Death and the fire may prevail on us, never our wills shall surrender, lowering Priam's heights and darkening Ilion's splendours. Not of such sires were we born, but of kings and of gods, Larissan. Not with her gold Troy purchases safety, but with her spear point. Stand with thy oath in the war front, Achilles. Call on thy helpers, armed to descend from the calm of Olympian heights to thy succour, hedging thy fame from defeat. For we all desire thee in battle, mighty to end thee, or tame at last by the floods of the Xanthus." So they reply. They are true to their death. They are constant for ruin. Humbler answer hope not, O hero from Penthesilea, insolent, warlike, regal and swift as herself is her message. Sea of renown and of valour, that fillest the world with thy rumour, speed of the battle incarnate, mortal image of Ares, terror and tawny delight, like a lion one hunts or is hunted, dread of the world and my target, swift-footed, glorious hero. Thus have I imaged thee, son of Peleus, dreaming in countries far from thy knowledge, in mountains that never have rung to thy war cry. Oh, I have longed for thee, warrior. Therefore today, by thy message, so was I seized with delight, that my heart was hurt with its rapture, knowing today I shall gaze with my eyes on that which I imaged only in air of the mind or met in the paths of my dreaming. Thus have I praised thee first with my speech. With my spear I would answer. Yet for thy haughty scorn, who deeming of me as some Hellene, or as a woman weak of these plains, fit but for the distaff, promisest capture in war and fame as thy slave girl in Thea, surely I think that death today will reply to that promise. Now I will give thee my answer, and warn thee, ere we encounter, know me queen of a race that never was conquered in battle. Know me armed with a spear that never has missed in the combat. There where my car wheels run, good fruit gets the husbandman after. This thou knowest, Ajax has told thee, thy friend in his dying. Has not Meriones' spirit come in thy dreams then, to warn thee? Didst thou not number the Argives once, ere I came to the battle? Number them now, and measure the warrior Penthesilea. Such am I then, whom thy dreams have seen, meek-browed in Larissa, and in the battle behind me thunder the heroes Ilion, ranks whose feeblest can match with the vaunted chiefs of the Argives. Never yet from the shock have they fled. If they turn from the foeman, always 'tis to return like death recircling on mortals. Yet being such, having such for my armies, this do I promise. I, on the left of the Trojans, war with my bright-armed numbers. Thou on the Argives' right come forth, Achilles, and meet me. If thou canst drive us with rout into Troy, I will own thee for master. Do thy utmost will, and make thee more glorious than gods are, serving thy couch in Thea, and drawing the jar from thy rivers. Nay, if thou hast that strength, then hunt me, O hunter, and seize me. If 'tis thy hope indeed that the sun can turn back from the Orient, but if thou canst not, death of myself or thyself thou shalt capture. Musing, heard, and was silent a while, the strength of Achilles. Musing of fate, and the wills of men, and the purpose of heaven. Then from his thoughts he broke, and turned in his soul towards battle. Well did I know what reply would come winged from the princes of Troia. Prone are the hearts of heroes to wrath, and to God-given blindness, when from their will they are thrust, and harried by fate and disaster. Fierceness then is the armour of strength against grief and its yieldings. So have the gods made man for their purpose, cunningly fashioned. Once had defiance waked from my depths of far-striding fury, flaming for justice and vengeance, nor had it satisfied rested, sunk to its lair, till the insulter died torn or was kneeling for pardon. Fierce was my heart in my youth, and exulted in triumph and slaughter. Now, as I grow in my spirit, like to my kin, the immortals, joy more I find in saving and cherishing than in the carnage. Greater it seems to my mind to be king over men than their slayer, nobler to build and to govern than what the ages have laboured, putting their godhead forth to create, or the high gods have fashioned, that to destroy in our wrath of a moment. Ripened, more widely opens my heart to the valour of man and the beauty of woman, works of the world and delight. The cup of my victory sweetens not with the joys of hate, but the human pride of the triumph. Yet was the battle decreed, for the means supreme of the mortal placed in a world where all things strive, from the worm to the Titan. So will I seize by the onset what peace from my soul would sequester. So will I woo with the sword and with love the delight of my foeman, Troy and Polyxena, beauty of Paris and glory of Priam. This was the ancient wrestling. This was the spirit of warfare fit for the demigods. Soon, in the city of gold and of marble, there where Ilus sat and Tros, where Laomedon triumphed, Peleus' house shall reign, the Hellenes sit, where the Trojan thought himself deathless. Arise, Automedon! Out to the people! Send forth the cry through the ships and the tents of the Myrmidon nation. Let not a man be found then lingering when o'er the causeway thunder my chariot wheels, nor let any give back in the battle, good if he wills from me, till through the conquered gates of the foemen storming we heard in their remnants, and press into Troy as with evening Helios rushing sinks to the sea. But thou, Briseis, put by thy lyre, O girl. It shall gladden my heart in my triumph, victor returned from Troy, to listen pleased to thy singing, bearing a captive bound to my car wheels, Penthesilea, bearing my valour's reward, Polyxena, daughter of Priam, won in despite of her city and brothers, and spears of her kindred. So by force it is best to take one's will and be might. Joyful Automedon ran through the drowsy camp of the Hellenes, changing the hum of the tents as he raced into shoutings of battle. For with the giant din of a nation triumphant arising, Hela sprang from her irksome ease and mounted her war car. Donning her armour bright, she rejoiced in the trumpets of battle.